Adeline, what do you want to know?
Well, I was wondering. So when I surf, now that I'm taking more like green waves, I go on the side, but then I don't know what to do.
Okay, so
Yeah,
as a wave break, what we need to do is like just describe the different areas of a wave.
yeah,
Okay, so I'm going to have to try and do this. So as a wave comes in and a wave breaks, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, wave breaking there. Along here, you have the wave peeling across, and that sort of green unbroken face, yeah. So the area really close to where the white water is. That's what we call is usually called the power pocket or the pocket of the wave.
yeah.
Okay. If you stay in the pocket of the wave, that's where the most of the power is, and that's where all the wave's energy is. So when your board's in there, the board's going faster, it's more responsive, and that's where you want to aim to be surfing.
Yeah.
As you get further and further away from this bit here, that my hand puppets are really useless at this. But as you get further and further away down the line, you'll notice that not only does the wave generally get a bit smaller, but it also gets into a bit of a soft shape. That bit we term the shoulder of the wave. Okay, so as the wave gets more, as you get further away from that white water, you're into the shoulder of the wave there. The more you get onto the shoulder, the less power the wave has, and so your board's moving less fast, so the less responsive it is.
Yeah.
So the general aim in surfing terms is to stay in that pocket, to stay in the pocket of the wave. You'll notice if you watch like the best pro surfers, watch the World Tour, WSL online, and you'll see that they're all staying in that pocket. They're doing really critical turns because they're in that part of the wave that is offering them the most power. Now, as you're learning to ride those waves, you're not going to always be there.
Yeah.
But when you're saying like what you should do while you're riding, your general aim is to stay in that sort of pocket of power of the wave. Now, all the turns and maneuvers and everything that you see surfers doing are all really designed to keep you within that power pocket. So you're asking about a cutback. A cutback is when you're going in one direction along a wave, you turn, you come back towards where the wave's breaking, and then you turn back to sort of continue on. So kind of like a big sort of drawn out S turn.
Yeah.
And the reason for doing that is you're surfing along and you're, oh, I'm too far out on the shoulder, turn back towards the power of the wave. That's your big cutback, then turn again. And you've basically moved yourself back towards that powerful part of the wave there.
Right.
So if you're from your Facebook post, you were saying that you find that you're riding along and then sometimes the wave just sort of disappears.
Yeah.
That wave will still be breaking. It's behind you. You've surfed away from it. So that's the point where you want to start using those turns, bring the board back around to where the power is, and then turn back. Depending on the wave and depending how fast you're going, how confident you are with the turns, will depend whether you're going to literally do. So if that's your wave, whether you're going to be surfing here and you're going to come all the way out here, do a big turn here, back over to the pocket of the wave, and then carry on, or whether you just surf along here, then you straighten out a bit, you wait for the wave to catch you up, and you carry on. Okay, there's those sort of variations are going to depend on your ability, what you want, what board you're riding, what wave you're riding. All of those things go into sort of you choosing your path along the wave.
Yeah.
But that's basically the aim once you're up and riding, is to stay in that powerful bit of the wave.
Right. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then I need to use my arms and just like where I want.
You can work on turning in surfing. The most important thing is to look where you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. The turn is going to start from your head and work the way down. So as you're riding along, you want to turn that way, turn my head, my arms follow, and that will force your hips there to turn. Apply a bit of weight to either your toes or your heels on the board, and the board will turn. Teaching turning is something that doing this virtually via a video chat is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Next time we're back in the water, we can go through. But yeah, essentially, look where you want to go. Rotate those shoulders, the rest of your body follows it through.
Yeah.
You can learn all the theory, but until you felt it,
Yeah,
it's not going to stick.
It's like looking down the wave until you've actually looked down a wave once and you feel like, I'm going there. You just don't get it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's certainly something that there's quite a few actually who are starting to get to the stage of riding those unbroken waves and looking what you want to do on them. So that's something that me and Ross want to focus on a lot in the club sessions once we're back in.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Everyone does seem to be getting to that similar point now, which is nice.
Yeah, and it's easier for everyone then, because we can all try that.
I think the main thing for a lot of you is getting that confidence that you can do the unbroken waves.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that looks nice and easy. Sometimes it's just like, ooh, that is a scary one. It's too big.
Always looks bigger when you're on it.
In that sense as well, Adeline, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something that I know me and Sophie have worked on quite a lot before as well. With her, is that sort of, when you're paddling into a wave or when you're looking along, that sort of element of looking at it going, oh God, that looks really big or really steep. I don't want to be anywhere to deal with that. There's a few really key things, not just for you, but I'm hoping like a few other people who are watching this afterwards.
Yeah.
If you imagine that you are on a wall that's maybe up to your chest high.
Yeah.
When you're stood up, that is not really a problem, is it? It doesn't look very big, nothing at all. If you lie down on top of it and poke your head over the edge and look straight down, that looks like a long way.
Yeah.
Psychologically, you're looking at that, and as you look down, you're getting that, either the anticipation or the sensation of falling. So the same thing happens when you're paddling into a wave. If you're paddling into a wave and where you're looking is straight down that wave, the wave might only be, like you say, up to your chest high, a 2-foot wave. But if you look straight down, it's going to look really intimidating. It's going to be very easy for you to get nervous about it and not want to go on that wave, not feel confident on it. If, on the other hand, you're paddling in and instead of looking straight down, you're looking where you want to go, which would either be right or left, depending on that wave. So you're paddling in, start looking over there. Suddenly, you're not looking straight down into a valley. You're looking along. You see that sort of familiar wave shape, and you're going, okay, I want to be down that way. So as you're paddling in, you look that way. What that also does is, as you're pushing up, as you're getting up to your feet, your body is, I'm going back to what I said, that the turn starts from your head.
Yeah.
You're targeting and focusing where you want to go. So as you're getting to your feet, the rest of your body's going to follow and the board's going to naturally start to go that way. But aside from what it does for your board and for your surfing and how important it is probably the best change you can make to your surfing that will improve your confidence in waves, is not looking straight down, because if wherever you look, that's where you're going to go. If you look straight down, you're going to fall off. And whenever we teach people this, they'll say, well, I look down because as I'm falling, I want to make sure I'm not falling on something bad. And it's like, but if you don't look there, you won't fall.
Yeah.
If you have your head looking where you want to go, all your body's energy, all that momentum is going to be targeted down along the face of the wave. So yeah, by looking along, the wave will seem a lot less intimidating as well.
Yeah. I need to practice pop up in my room and just look. Like when I up.
Yeah, as you get up, that's also something you can practice in the whitewater. So as you on those days where it's a bit too big, while you're paddling in, as you feel that wave hit the back of your board, start looking that way and try and force your head to stay focused on the direction you want to go as you're getting up, even in the whitewater. And it will train that habit in. So the next time the waves are a suitable size for you to be going out back, you can sort of take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Before we go on to any more questions that you might have, Adeline, the one that I remember getting asked from last week was about turtle rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, and how to get out through waves, basically, regardless of what method you use. The be-all and end-all of getting out through waves is paddling fast towards them. The biggest mistake that me and Ross see quite a lot is when the waves are breaking, people are paddling towards them, they sort of hesitate a little bit and they go, oh God. The slower you go towards that wave, the more that wave is going to hit you back. Okay, and whatever you do, you could do the technique, whether it's a duck dive, whether it's a turtle roll, even if you're just pushing up and popping through it, none of those will work as well if you're going slower. So the most important thing is to be heading straight towards the wave and paddle fast. Paddle, especially the last few paddles before that wave hits you, paddle as if you're trying to catch a wave. Okay, get that board moving as fast as you can. First of all, to push yourself up, and let the wave come in between you and your board. That's all good on smaller waves or waves that have been broken for a long time. So paddle towards it, your hands come back, push yourself up, make sure you keep leaning on your hands. The mistake a lot of people make is push up and lean backwards. What happens then is your board goes at that angle, the wave coming through goes and knocks you back. If you can keep the weight on your hands, the board stays flat. As that wave comes through, you pop through the wave. Okay?
Pushing.
That's it. Push up, try and keep the nose. You're not trying to sink the nose of the board. If all you're trying to do is, like, say you've got the wave here, all you're trying to do is go straight through it. Try and keep the board nice and flat. You're basically trying to keep the board flat on the water surface so that that white water will roll between you and the board.
Okay, yeah.
When we're talking about duck diving or turtle rolling a board, those two basically rely on exactly the same principle, is that as the top of the wave moves over like that, the bottom of the wave, the currents are flowing the other way. Now, everyone has felt this. If you stand in the shallow water and there's a wave coming towards you, like a shore dumpy day, waves coming towards you, you can feel the water pulling out underneath you. You can feel it pulling against your legs. That happens in all depths of water. As the top of the wave's pushing forward, it's a circular action. Top of the wave pushes forward, the bottom of the wave pushes under. Now, when you're duck diving, you're looking to duck under, and that will work on a board that is basically small enough for you to sink. So once you're on short boards, even some fishes, stuff like that, it depends a lot on the volume and the length of the board, but you basically need to have enough mass and enough strength to sink that board. But what you're trying to do is that as that wave's coming over, you're paddling along, you duck yourself and your board under, get yourself into that bit of the current, the bit of the wave there that's going the opposite direction. You pop out the other side, happy days. Okay? Turtle rolling works on exactly the same principle. The difference is your board is generally too big there for you to actually sink it and go under. So what you're doing, I haven't got enough hands, I need a third hand to demonstrate this, but you're flipping your board over, okay? So the board's flipped over. If you say underneath here, you're hanging on to the bottom of the board here, and you're basically using your body as an anchor to get into that current that is pulling under. So whilst your board's floating on the surface, you're underneath there in that water that's pulling the other way. So you pop through, flip your board over, and off you go. So I would say personally, the two keys to getting yourself through a wave on turtle roll, firstly is the speed that you attack it as, same as everything else. And the second one is that as you're coming into it, trying to make sure that you either keep your board flat or even try and sink the nose a little bit, okay? What I see a lot of people doing is rolling and just kind of waiting and holding there. And what's happening is that your board, as this white water's coming in, your board is still floating around there, maybe even tipping back a little bit. So that wave picks you up and it knocks you back. If you can keep that nose of your board either at the surface level where you are, or ideally tilting under, as that wave comes through, you pop through, okay? Getting through waves, like paddling out through broken waves, regardless of which of those techniques you use, is, I think, one of the hardest things to learn in surfing. Because as with everything else, so let's say we go to standing up, you can not stand up, you can stand up, you can get to 1 foot, you can get to 2 feet and fall straight off again, you can get to 2 feet, wobble around for a bit and then fall off again. There are so many different stages and you can gradually feel yourself improving. The same with turning. You can stand up and you can turn a board a little bit, and then the next time you do it, you're like, wow, that was a much sharper turn. And as you start to learn that technique, with paddling out through a wave, yes, there's a lot of improvements you can make as you go on, but at the beginning, you either get it right or you get it wrong. You either pop through that wave or you get smashed by it. And if you get smashed by it, it's very hard to then get your board back, paddle, get on it and paddle up with enough speed to get through the next one. Chances are that you've come up, you've caught your breath, you've pulled your board back towards you, you're just about to get on it and you're like, oh God, here we go. Another one comes. So it can be quite a demoralizing thing to learn, because if you make one mistake, suddenly you're back at the start again. You could have done, let's say you need to paddle through 10 waves to get out back. You could paddle through 8 of them. You'd be 80% of the way, 80% of the way there. If the last 2 waves hit you, you could be back at waist deep water, standing in the shallows again, going, Well, that was a waste of time, wasn't it? And so, yeah, and it really is a battle to learn those things. But that's something that me and Ross as well can work through with you guys on the Surf Gal sessions next time we're back in the water. But if you keep those two principles in mind, firstly, to try and attack the wave with as much speed as you can. Make sure you're really building up momentum with your paddle strokes before you hit that wave. And the second one, be really conscious of what you're trying to do. You're not just rolling over, hoping for the best, and then flipping it over. You're rolling over. You're trying to get your body in that bit of water that's moving in the direction you want to go. And you're trying to keep the board as flat as possible. So either flat or just to dip under, so there's nothing for that wave to catch and push you back to the beach.
Yeah. What's the position you would suggest under when you're under the board, when you start rolling? You stay like flat under it, or because sometimes I watch on my GoPro and I'm like, I do like I've got my legs there, my arms, and my body does that under the wave, under the.
So I've seen people have success with both of those options. Okay. It does depend a lot on the size of the waves. What you have to remember is that on bigger waves, that means there's more mass of water moving in towards the beach at the surface, which means you're going to have to get yourself into that water that's going the other way. Okay. Now, on some waves, that means you want to be as streamlined as possible, because the depth where the current is moving in the opposite direction is so much deeper that there's no way, even if you went at full arm's length like that, there's no way that you're going to get yourself that deep. So the best bet then is to get towards it and keep yourself as streamlined as possible. Keep that board nice and close to you.
Right.
Personally, when the waves are a little bit smaller, I find it, when we're talking like sort of shoulder to head high, something like that, when I'm trying to get through, anything from there down, while I'm paddling, I will flip that board and I like to push myself at sort of just shy of arm's length. You don't want to go dead straight, otherwise it's very easy for that board to get ripped out.
Yeah.
You keep it there where you've still got a bit of power and strength here in your arms to hold on to that board. I find just trying to push my body a little bit deeper helps me to pop through those waves. But once you get over a certain size, you just want to stay as tight to it as possible.
Okay.
The real key, though, rather than thinking about where you want to go, especially when you're trying to learn the technique, the be-all and end-all is you want to hold on to your board.
Yeah.
So don't worry so much about how extended your arms are where you are. Be in a position where you feel personally that you can hold on to that board, where it is in your sort of strength and power zone there. Make sure that you've got a really firm grip on that board and you're holding onto it nice and tight. Once you've got used to the sensation of popping through the waves, then you can start experimenting with it and you can go, okay, this wave's a bit smaller. Let's try pushing. Oh, no, that didn't work. Right, back to normal. And you can sort of play with that yourself, because it depends a lot on your own ability to hold on to the board. As I say, personally, I do try and sink myself a little bit deeper sometimes, but it really varies on the size of the wave.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for that.
Oh, good.
Just try and avoid having your arms completely locked out.
Yeah.
Obviously, then you have no muscle to hold the board again, hold the board still with you. If it's just locked straight, it's your joints that are going to be being pulled out, and never fun.
Yeah.
That goes back to what we were talking about last week a little bit on the paddling technique, is that you don't want to overstretch and get your arm fully locked out when you make a paddle stroke, because at that point there, you're only using very few muscles are actually working in alignment. So keeping the arm slightly bent gives you a lot more power to either paddle or hold onto your board or whatever it is you're looking to do. Have you got any more questions, Adeline?
Right now, no.
I'm trying to think if there were any more from the...
I know that I remember Becky saying about what's peeling. What does it mean? I know it, but maybe...
Peeling for Bex is... As a wave breaks, we were talking about the pocket and the shoulder. Peeling is simply the wave moving down that line. So as you're surfing the wave, where the green wave part here is, so as it's peeling, means that the wave is breaking and moving along in one direction. Hopefully, you're there surfing with it as well.
Yeah.
That's basically all that's meant by peeling, is that a wave breaking in a certain direction.
And I think that was all the questions.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that anyone was asking. Well, guys, anyone who's watching,
have a quick scan through for you.
if you do have any more questions, guys, then please ping them in a comment underneath this video, and me and Ross will do our best to answer them. If not, we will see you guys next week, I hope. I will be more on it, I promise. Next week I'll be more on it, and I'll put a time up of when it's going to be, a couple of days in advance, so everyone knows. So apologies to everyone for yesterday. It was to be honest, I didn't even know it was Friday yesterday. The lockdowns got to me, and it got really confusing because Bank Holiday Monday was on a Friday, and everything just all went a little bit topsy-turvy. So yeah, apologies to everyone for missing yesterday. But if you've got any questions about any surf vocab or technique or anything, ping them in a message below here. Otherwise, Ross, are you on the Facebook group now? Can you tell us what the subject is for next week?
Next week,
it'll be in the announcements bit of the page. I'm trying to remember. I've got a feeling it was something to do with surfboards, I think.
Might be.
I think it was surfboards. Let's go reload.
Yeah, I've got a feeling it was something to do with like different types of surfboards.
Surf knowledge.
What was that, Adeline?
Surfboard knowledge.
Surfboard knowledge, yeah. So next week, anyone got any questions about surfboard knowledge? Things like size and shape of boards, what different shapes do. We can even go into things like fin setups potentially, unless that is in another week. But yeah, anything you want to know about different elements of a surfboard, just let us know.
Cool.
All right. Well, guys, it's been lovely to chat to both of you.
Yeah.
Fin setups was in another week, but I don't see why it couldn't be with surfboard knowledge.
We'll leave fin setups to another week. Let's just stick to surfboards. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
But guys, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Cool.
Oh.